Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
Now my today's agenda is scheduling policy. This is a very important part. We'll be discussing scheduling policy, then we'll be discussing that service objectives, and we'll be discussing skills. These three things are very important to go to understand that how the field service engine works in the backend. Let me tell you first what I would like to show you before going into the scheduling policy. Let me show you how to create a skill. We will be discussing in detail. Let me first explore. You go to the scheduling thing. Means then we will go to the work type and we will go to the. Then we'll go to the work type and then go to the skills. Let me first discuss you with the scheduling policies. What is scheduling policy? And what is specifically how you can incorporate your business priorities into scheduling. Let me tell you first what is the significance of scheduling policy. Because when you'll be designing some requirements in the live project or live applications, you need to discuss some factors to balance when you are making a schedule for a service resource. Suppose I'm giving you an example. Suppose I am the field service admin of our utility industry. Suppose my organization based on a southwestern in the United States. Now my organizations, what it does, it sells, it installs, it maintains the products, and it's helping the installation services also. What I'm doing, I am using field service to connect my workforce, products and customers on one platform. To deliver an exceptional on-site services. That's why I'm using field service like this. Now what will happen if I'm talking about the schedule, like I'm just scheduling a specific service appointment to a service resource. Then my definitely one question will come to my mind. Like if I'm an admin, I should answer that 4 parameters I need to keep in mind. I need to answer means like suppose if I go to the field service dispatcher console, suppose if I go to this specific service appointment 0790. Let me come to this service appointment. This is new. November 17th, I'm just assigning the service appointment to Simon Cliff 790. Suppose I have assigned this service appointment to this specific service resource. It's loading, let it get scheduled. I need to keep it when it is in scheduled conditions. This service appointment, some rule violations is coming. That's fine, we will fix it, but it is scheduled. Look at this new conditions. If I just scroll up 0791, it is in scheduled conditions. It is scheduled to Simon Cliff. When I'm scheduling a specific service appointment to a specific service resource, I need to keep in mind like 4 things I need to keep in mind. One is who is my client. Who is client? This is one thing. Now question is where will the work to be completed? Where will the work be completed? This is one thing. Another thing I need to keep in mind, like if I'm just scheduling this, I need to keep it. That when means why did the particular appointment, why did the scheduler choose this mobile worker instead of someone else? This question is very important. Why did the scheduler choose this mobile worker or field technicians, whatever you can say, this mobile worker instead of someone else? What I have done, I have assigned Simon Cliff to this user. I have assigned this service appointment to Simon Cliff. I can assign that specific service appointment to James Jones also. But I have chosen Simon Cliff. Why? When I'm a scheduler, I'm assigning a particular service appointment to a resource. I need to keep in mind that. Why am I choosing this field technician or service resource instead of someone else? And why did he choose this particular time? Let's get some answers. Why the scheduling policy is coming into the picture. It's very important. You need to keep in mind who, where, why. First, there is a job that must be completed. Suppose in my case, I'm giving you an explanation like suppose it is an installations. What happened previously? Suppose scheduling policy is not coming into the picture. What I have done, me and my team created a list of candidates that who are qualified to perform this installation services. That means it is who? It is who? Let me come to this point. First point is, let me write like this, who means, suppose me, I'm a scheduler, me and my team. We have created a list of candidates. These are the service resources. If I'll go to here, these are the service resources. They are qualified. They are qualified to perform the installation services. That's why I have created their list. Now coming to that question that if I'll go to here, who in? Who in means, suppose the scheduler uses that information that to see who is available to perform the installation services between a specific time zone. What is the time zone? Let me explain you. This functional thing is very important. Otherwise, we can't design that. If I go to that service appointment, suppose any service appointment I'll open, I will able to see, suppose 0791. I'll able to see few date parameters are there. Date parameters are first, I'll talk about earliest start permitted date and due date. We will discuss in detail the dates. Let me just give you a brief. When we are discussing that scheduling policies, we need to understand that what is earliest start permitted and what is due date. This earliest start permitted and due date. These two date fields are automatically populated when you are creating a service appointment and you're creating a service appointment and assigning that service appointment to a particular resource. Earliest start permitted and due date means that is a playground. That is a playground. That means that is a time zone that your job must be started. It was a previous service appointment, old service appointment. That's why it contains 31st. The job must start 31st and it must end on 2nd of November. This is the time frame. You can't. You can't I mean skip, or you can't means you can't. Just come means send is the time. Send November is the end date. Due date means within send of November. Anyhow, you have to finish that work. That is the due date. You can't cross that SIN November horizon. Between 31st and SIN, your job must be completed. Then let's come to this point. This is these two fields. Well means the scheduler uses that information to see who is available between 31st October to SIN November to perform the installation services. You have to keep in mind that earliest permitted start permitted date and end date. These two fields are very important. Who are my service resource? They will be available between earliest start permitted date and due date. Now combining this who and when. Combining this who and when, I am a scheduler. Being a scheduler, I can create a pool of candidates who are both qualified to do the job and available at the time also. If there is only one qualified and available field technicians or mobile worker who can work in the required time, then being a scheduler, my life is I'm free. I am If one qualified candidate or one available mobile worker is there who can work in the required time. If I am combining these two, then I'm done. I do not have any headache, but usually more than one candidate appears in this situation. Then what will happen? Then the scheduler chooses the best time slot and best mobile worker using the company's business priorities, using the organization's business priorities. That means who means I have created, suppose I'm giving an installation services. Being a scheduler, I am creating a list of candidates who are qualified enough to perform these services. Now I'm checking I have list of candidates. I need to pick it up that. Who are the candidates? They will be available between RDS, start permitted date and due date based on their operating system's time slot. If I am just filtering out, then I'm seeing that I have more than one candidate appears. Then, being a scheduler, what I will do? Being a scheduler, I will choose the best time slot and best mobile worker using my company's business priorities. This is a very important point. Then we build field services. Being a scheduler, I can optimize scheduling based on my business priorities. The things that keep my business strong. I can optimize by scheduling via work rules. I can optimize by scheduling by service objectives and scheduling policies. Suppose let me give you an example like what kind of business priorities I need to decide here. Suppose what kind of business priorities. Suppose when my organization needs to consider when they're making schedules. First is great customer service, particularly for the VIP customers. My organizations like same-day service a high first-time fixed rate for mobile workers arriving during the arrival window. Before the due date or before the earliest start, where we have been closest to the earliest start permitted date, they had to start their job. Now this kind of business priorities are there. Business priorities means this kind of factors you need to balance. Like you are serving a large territory. Definitely being a scheduler, you want to perform as many jobs as possible in each day. Definitely your travel time must be an important factor here. Definitely, if you'd like to perform as many jobs as possible each day, you need to minimize the travel time between the appointments. Here, scheduling policies are coming into the picture. This is the scheduling policies overview means why it is required. means by field service engine scheduling policies. They have introduced scheduling policies here. This is the significance of scheduling policy. Like a scheduling policy is basically, it is pick up the most qualified candidates. It is filtering the candidates or service resource and assign a service appointment to a service resource in an optimized way. Now let me tell you, I need to discuss the anatomy of scheduling policies. The anatomy of scheduling policies is basically each scheduling policy. These are the scheduling policy customers first. Like I have told you, it is balancing the great customer service with nice trouble, and priority is given in the pre-fast service resourceability. I'll discuss this to provide service SP. These two factors, like I'm in high intensity, suppose big storm is there. This is a very emergency situation. Suppose one service resource is there. He has one specific service appointment in his bucket. Based on top of that, it's the priority to the service appointment which is coming. Considering the high intensity emergency situations, it is coming like this. What is the anatomy of scheduling policy? These are the scheduling policy for scheduling policies which basically FSL gives you. It is an out-of-box scheduling policy. If I go to here first, let me go to the service settings. Then I'll tell you what is the scheduling policies anatomy. If I open the just to say as well, I've done a bit of reading. Is this work rules and service objectives? Is that what is built into the servicing policies? Sorry, I do remember that. That's good. No problem. This one is going to ask on that one as well, because again, I've done a little bit of reading. I've still got a lot to learn. I'm learning a lot from what you're covering now. Again, thank you. I just wanted to ask, is it possible for different dispatchers to use different scheduling policies, or is it a global setting across everyone at a given time? When you're in the dispatcher console, I've noticed it's really easy to toggle the scheduling policies. Is that something that a per agent would do per dispatcher, or is that a global setting that applies to all dispatchers? You mean to say, if I've correctly understood your question, is suppose I'm a dispatcher, you are a dispatcher, we both are the dispatchers. If we are handling the two different territories, I can choose the different scheduling policy for the service appointment. This is your question. Let's say, for example, I was selecting high intensity, but you were using customer first. Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. Yes, it is possible. Definitely it is possible. Based on your business priorities, definitely you can choose the scheduling policy which you want to. But if users ever did that by mistake, can that cause any issues? If we were both using schedule optimization, but I was using customer first in mind and yours was emergency or soft boundaries, how does that work? Because obviously that means that the system is looking at different priorities when it's doing a scheduling. System is doing the different priorities here. Suppose I'm choosing the customer first for one service appointment and you are choosing the soft boundaries for the service appointment, then build service engine in the backend. It will just trying to optimize the service appointment based on the scheduling policies, like what service objectives is associated with that scheduling policy. What is the grade of that service appointment? The service objectives. If I'll go to here, if I'll go to the guided setup, let me show you like we are discussing the anatomy of scheduling policies. It is containing the work rules and service objectives. If you are choosing the high intensity or customer first, whatever. If I'll go to scheduling policies, look at this. Suppose if I'm choosing the customer first, if I'm scrolling it down, look at this. My resource priority preferred service resource ASAP minimize travel. These all are the service objectives which has been set up for the customer. First, scheduling policies. Definitely skill level is 0. You can make the great changes from here. Suppose you minimize travel but changing from 13 to 20. Obviously, your customer first when you are choosing. It is associated to that service objective which is containing the minimized travel at 20. Suppose I am a dispatcher. I am choosing the soft boundaries where minimized travel is containing 12. Your when. If your service engine will calculate in the backend to optimize the service appointment to get that service appointment assigned into a service resource, you will get the priority to minimize travel as 20. If the grade is higher, then it will get the priority first. That sounds, thank you. That is the anatomy of work groups. Let me discuss it. Then we'll go to how it works. First anatomy is each scheduling policy is made up of work groups and service objectives. If I'll go to here, let me go to the next. I'm coming to that. Here it is. Let me first show you. I'll show you the org, then I'll come to the people. Each scheduling policy is made up of work groups and service objectives. Work will determine which candidates can complete the job. Scheduling policy. It is basically containing. It's made up of work groups and service objectives. Work groups determine which candidates. Work groups basically determine which candidates can complete the job. Now scheduler will think, do the candidates have the required skills? Now the answer is yes, suppose they have the required skills. Now scheduler is asking, are they available in the territory at the time? This kind of questions eliminates. Eliminate unqualified candidates specifically. Suppose I have 100 of employees. I need to filter it out from 20 to 30 candidates. From 20 to 30 candidates, I'll filter it out to 5 qualified employees. These questions you need to keep in mind, like which candidates can complete the job. Do the candidates have the required skills? Are they available in the territory at the time? If these questions has been considered, then it will eliminate automatically the unqualified candidates. Now coming into the picture, like when you have the list of qualified candidates, then service objectives is coming into the picture. Then service objectives help you to use your business priorities to choose the best candidate for the job. For example, if your top priority, like I have given you the example, if your top priority is to minimize the travel, the qualified candidate closest to the job site is the best choice. Am I clear? That makes sense? Now, how you will find the qualified candidates with work rules? These are the work rules which Salesforce provided you. If it provides you is the out-of-box work rule. If I scroll down, let me come to this. How to find the qualified candidates with the work rule. Before going into the hands-on, we need to know that how to qualify candidates, how to find qualified candidates with work rule. If I go to here, I'll able to see all of the scheduling policies are listed over here. Do not let me not discuss it with the themes. Customer first. There is the customized scheduling policy which I have created. I will discuss with you how to create the customized scheduling policies. Let me first tell you that how we can find qualified candidates with work rules means how field service engine working in the backend to find qualified candidates. Remember the past failed grading system we have in our college or school. Work rules assesses basically mobile workers in a similar way. If a work rule specifies if I'll go to customer first, look at this. The work rules are basically selected here, all that out-of-box work rules. It basically helps you to assess the mobile workers in a similar way like pass or failed grading system in our school, which we have appeared. Like if a work rule specifies, suppose I have created Los Angeles territory. If a work rule specifies in the Los Angeles territory, the scheduler asks, does the candidate work in the Los Angeles territory? Basically, if no, the answer is no, then they fail. If yes, they pass and they are considered for a Los Angeles job. This basically is taken care of by the field service engine in the backend. Then what will happen? The scheduler moves on to the next work rule. What will be the next work rule? Does the candidate have the necessary skills? Match skills I am talking about. Does the candidate have the necessary skills to complete the job? If no, they fail. They are not considered for the job. If yes, then the candidate passes and the scheduler moves on to the next rule. Work rules reduce the pool of candidates from all possible mobile workers to just those who can do or who can perform the job. The managed package basically coming with this kind of several work rules. Some rules apply to the candidates. For examples, I have explained to you like match skills ensure that the candidate is qualified to do the job and required resource. Look at this required service resource. Required service resource ensures that the specified worker works within a certain customer because that service resource already provided the services to that certain customers. Definitely, if being a scheduler, you're choosing that customer first, you will definitely make that required service resource work rule available in the selected work rules. Some rules apply to the time. Some rules apply to the times. Like service appointment visiting hours, make sure that the appointment is scheduled during a customer visiting hours. These are just few examples. Like if like this is scheduled start date, like schedule and date, and service appointment visiting hours, this is also out of box. That it means applies to the time. Service appointment visiting hours. Make sure that the appointment is scheduled during a customer's visiting hours. Now, if you schedule an appointments automatically. Your appointments always follow the work rules. Then that is fine, all is well. But if you schedule appointments, you can drag and drop like I have shown you from here only. If I go to here, I'm just dragging up a service appointment and drop it in the field service dispatcher console like I did here. It is already violating some rule. Look at this rule violation. For example, I have already dragged an appointment to the worker who doesn't have required skill. Or here the rule violation is due date. Schedule end date should be before and equal than due date. Resource availability work is violated. The service appointment must have a gap at least some minutes from the previous locations and some minutes to the next locations. The third one's match territory. The resource territory doesn't match the service territory. This rule violations is basically occurs here. Like, that's why this yellow triangle appears. This yellow triangle is telling you that your work rules are not compatible with this service resource to whom you are just dragging the service appointment trying to assign it to. This rule violations is basically indicates the dispatcher that they are using this specific service appointment to assign the service appointment to the service resource. Before that, they have to resolve the problem first. Then they can assign the service appointment to this service resource. Otherwise, they will get an error or they will get an issue. Multiplication. One question on that as well, as we're saying that the work rules are ultimately related to the policy. In this case, customer first. I know you wouldn't do this in reality. I'm just asking a question. This helped me on learning, I guess. If, for example, we change the policy to one which didn't have the same rule, which has been triggered there. In this case, it was the due date, scheduled end date, wasn't it? And that was causing the rule violation. If we change the policy to one which didn't have that particular rule in place, would that service violation? Was that rule violation go away as well in that case? Most probably. Let me check. Suppose customer first, I have chosen over here. Let me choose the customer themes. Customer first, that to which I have chosen. I have created, it was created before. Let me create it. Let me just do that. Because the rule violation was different. It's not just a similar, but I do have, there's quite a few things on that. I'm unscheduling that. And again, I will schedule using a different policy. Just a second. Because it is a very previous service appointment, old service appointment I'm doing. Suppose I'm choosing emergency. I'm choosing emergency. And suppose this is 1079. Just put it here. Let me go to the emergency situations. Let me, if I'll go to the emergency and suppose if I'll just deselect the resource availability here. I'll just modifying this just a second. Let me choose emergency. I'm choosing emergency and resource availability. Just then deselect it here. To resource availability. If you choose it, one resource availability must be there. What I'm doing, I'm just deselecting match territory. If I'll go to here, let me unschedule this. Then I will schedule that. If I'm modifying the emergency, previously it was customer first, I'm getting the match territory error. Now I'm modifying the emergency policy and I have deselected the match territory. Let me just schedule it like that. Based on my workbook, which has been configured in the emergency policy, I should not get the match territory error. Look at this. The match territory error is disappeared. It is only I'm getting the new resource availability. That makes sense. It does persist in terms of if you schedule an appointment using a given policy, it retains that policy alongside it. If you change the policy after, it doesn't update it. Yes. Cool. I just wanted to do a chat. I was curious how it sort of knew what would happen if you changed the policy midway through, because I'm guessing that does happen sometimes. If there was obviously an emergency, I'm guessing you would change to the emergency policy to respond to people quicker. Thank you. It clears your doubt. It does. Thank you, Nikita. Thank you. No problem. Let me create a workflow for you. We have discussed that. What is the significance of a workflow? Let me create a workflow for you. Suppose in your situations, in your business situations, if the standard workflows like I have created from here, suppose that standard work doesn't, if I'll go to customer first, Suppose the standard workflows that doesn't solve your purpose, that doesn't meet your needs, then you can create one that does. Now in your organizations, you discover that being a dispatcher, that sometimes it schedules mobile workers to work during their lunch break. You don't want that. They are taking their lunch break, and in that lunch break dispatches is dispatching or scheduler is scheduling some service appointment to work within service resources in their lunch day. That is not. Then you are thinking, I need to create a workflow. I need to create a workflow which is basically not shooting the service appointment to the mobile workers during their lunch break. I'll create a workflows for that. Let me do that. If I'll scroll up, I'll create a new workflow. I can create it for here app launcher. Write work rule. Go to the work rules. This is the work rule. I will go to the work rules. It is some standard work rules. I have created some work rules which is lunch break defined. I have created from here. I will create for you another one. Let me just delete this one. It was old. I'll create a fresh for you. That same scenario. Let me create a new work rule. If I'll click on that, look at this. The record types are there in this record type. This is a defined record type for work rule which came into the manage package. This is out of box record type for work rules. Based on my scenario, I can choose a work rule record type. Suppose I am selecting a work rule like because I do not want that some work that needs to be assigned in the lunch break time. I will create a work rule. Suppose the service resource availability, this work type record type values, which will ensure that the service resource is available for the service appointment at that time. Then choose that. Based on your business priority, you can select the different various work types. If I'll click on next, let me give you the customized work rule. Suppose the name is suppose organization resource availability. Let me just tell you 1 minute. I'm checking that each account I have used. I'll give that name service appointment number which I have created for you, 823. What account I have used Dreamhouse Reality. Suppose I'm giving the name Dreamhouse Reality Resource Availability. Availability. Now what I will do, suppose the description is determine lunch break. Now what I will do, I will give the break, start suppose 12. And break duration is 45 minutes. Now I'll choose advanced settings. This travel time I'm not choosing as of now, it's not required. I'm choosing fixed gap. Fixed gap means if it is checked, it will calculate the gap between the services which will be based on the minimum gap built without travel calculations. It will not consider the travel calculations if I'll consider this checkbox with this gap. Suppose minimum gap time. It is a required field. What is minimum gap time? It determines the minimum gap between two services. Suppose I am putting it 5. 5 minutes is the minimum gap between two services. Now I am picking another blank, and what I'm doing, I'm just choosing I'm just clicking on the Save button. This new work rule appears in the list of available work rules, which is standard. Now I need to add some scheduling policy to implement this work rule. Because, as I have already mentioned that I'm a scheduler, I'm familiar with the pass or fail world of the work rules and how they narrow down the list of candidates. I know, but out of all the candidates who pass, which one is the best for the job then? For that, I need to define the candidate's rank. I need to rank the candidates based on the service objectives. I have created the work rules. Now I will tell you the service objectives. What I will do. Let me tell you what the service objectives is. I'll give you a brief overview. Then we'll go to customize the scheduling policy. If I go to the field service settings, as I have already shown you that anatomy is, it is containing the work rules and it is containing the service objectives. This is available in this scenario I'm doing. Now, coming to this service objective things, look at this. This is the service objectives. If I go to here, go to the guidance setup. When let the service objectives comes. If I open the service objectives, look at this. Suppose I'm choosing the customer first in this name bottom, I'm able to see some service objectives are there, which also I need to use to rank my candidates based on this. Suppose what is the significance of service objectives? When it will help us to filter out or narrow down my list of candidates. Now, when the scheduler has a list of qualified candidates, your next step is to rank them and pick the best one. If rules are pass or fail, service objectives are more like we're able to see preferred service resources. 2 SAPs, 4 resources have priorities 1 minimum struggle 13. Minimum over 10, 0 skill level 0. It's basically the numeric grades. They are weighted from most to least important. Most to least important. More important service objectives receive the higher weight than the less important ones. I'm again repeating. More important service objectives receive the higher weight, less than higher weight than these important ones. Each candidate gets a score based on how well they meet each service objective. Being a scheduler, then you will tally the scores and recommends the candidate with the highest score. Am I clear? These 3 lines are very important. That does make sense. If I'll go to the service objective, let me tell you, suppose first ASAP, how it is used. What is the significance of ASAP? Suppose, for example, if an appointment is scheduled at the earliest moment possible. Earliest moment means if I'll open the service appointment, its earliest start permit date is suppose 4th of November. If an appointment is scheduled at the earliest moment possible, like it is closest to the earliest start permit date, it gets a perfect score of 100. Its data gets a perfect score of 100 using ASAP. If it is scheduled at the last slot before the due date or before the due date, it gets a score of 0. What I'm telling, it's 4th of November 1046 same. Suppose the service appointment is scheduled. Scheduled means when it is scheduled. As I have mentioned in the last class, when you have scheduled a service appointment based on its earliest start, permit date and due date, automatically schedule started, schedule ended populating. If a service appointment scheduled is scheduled and schedule started is the earliest moment possible, That means it is closest to the earliest start permit date, like this 10:46, scheduled at 10:49 or 11. That means it will get a perfect score of SAP as 100. But if it is scheduled 7th of November, suppose it is scheduled 7th of November, 10:4:15 a or 6th of November, any of the time, then the ASAP service objectives is basically 0. How it is used. Like it is measuring how soon this ASAP service objectives, basically measuring how soon the service appointment can be scheduled. SAP is basically tricky as it can contradict to other objectives. For example, scheduling an appointment as soon as possible can result more travel time. If you're scheduling an appointment using ASAP as soon as possible, it can result more travel time. If prompt service is an important consideration, we need to assign this to I wait. This is the significance of ASAP service appointment. It is out of box. Now most important, which is minimize travel, which is basically used in every scenarios. I'm giving you one example. Suppose you are optimizing a service appointment. I will discuss the optimization chapter. But optimization, specifically a job which is narrowed out the service appointments from your list. What is happening? Suppose in optimizations, when field service engine is running in the backend, suppose it is picking up a service appointment where travel time is 120 minutes or more. If the travel time is 120 minutes or more, then the minimized travel service objective basically is 0. If we'll set at 0 or 1 to 3 kind, these are grades of the service objective for the customer policy, the service engine automatically picking up the travel time in 120 minutes or more. Foreign options. With the travel time at 60 minutes, the score basically should be 50. And for a non-optimization scheduling operation such as like it's not optimizing, you are just dragging and dropping up. And suppose you are using another functionality to make that service appointment schedule. What is happening nearby means the score of minimized travel is based on the travel times available. Travel is basically calculated linearly between the closest and the farthest. Means farthest travel for an appointment, which 3 scheduling options. 3 scheduling options. Basically, if it is scheduled after an appointment at the same site, travel time is 0 minutes and the score is 100 kind of thing. It is travel time is 60 minutes, your score is 50. And if your travel time is 30 minutes away, the score is less than 50. That is the fundal of the minimized travel. What it does? It basically measures the travel time required for a service appointment and it is helping you pick up the time slot requiring the last means. It is helping you to pick up the time slot which is requiring the least travel time. If reducing travel costs like mileage, gas and service costs is an important consideration, for this kind of situations, you have to assign high weight. Suppose 50 kind of thing. It is considering the travel time kind of 60 minutes or less than 60 minutes. This is the significance of minimized travel. Another thing I would like to discuss over here, which is resource priority. That is also very important. It is basically a mobile worker with a value of one resource. Priority is rated at the highest. Here, larger number indicates that the mobile worker has a lower score. For resource priorities, it is different. It helps you to rank the appointments based on the assigned mobile worker's priority. How the priority calculates in the backing. A mobile worker with a value of 1 is rated as the highest, and larger numbers indicate that the mobile workers has a lower score. Now we will create every sibling policy. I have the Salesforce which they shared this property to me. All service objectives as explained here. You can check it out. Here how grading works, how the field service lightning do this grading system. That is also mentioned over here. I will share that with you too. It will help you to understand how field service lightning works. Engine works to get that grading system in the backend using workflow and service objectives. Now, if I go to here, what is happening here? I understood, being a field service scheduler, that how service objectives map to the business priorities. Now I'm ready. I am ready to do the weighting of my sibling policies, which I will be using. For that, if I need to customize some scheduling policy, I can do that. What I'll do, I'll from the app launcher. I'll go to the field service again. Settings again. If I'll go to here, I'll go to the guided setup, my business priorities. I know that how we have discussed the service objectives. I know how the service objectives map to the business priorities. What I will do, I will click on that field service settings. I'll go to the guided setup and I'll create some scheduling policy which will map the work rule of the service objective which will fit to my business priorities. If I click on that guided setup, I'll click on the customized scheduling policies. This is the customized scheduling policy. And then I'll suppose click on that customer first. What I'll do, I will scroll the service objectives which mentioned over here. What I will do, this from this, by this pie chart which is maintained over here. Suppose I minimize travel, I will just make it larger. The most travel is supposed to 21. Now what I will do, I will customize this scheduling policy. I'll create a new scheduling policy which will contain this service objectives. And I'll add a work rule into that because this policy is not enough for me to specify my business scenarios. I will create my scenarios to create the best schedule. Let's take a scenario. Suppose for an ideal day. That's suppose for the ideal day scenarios. Suppose I'm scheduling my appointments automatically and not many of them means of them that service appointment. They've been moved during the day. My standard scheduling policy, which is customer first, that gets you through just fine, but sometimes my day doesn't match the scenario. Suppose there is an emergency, like suppose a local power outage is happening. Then I must reschedule all the appointments in a given territory. Or what I can do a lot of high priority appointments come in at once and I must move the lower priority appointments. That I need to do. For that what I will do, I will fine tune my scheduling policies or I will create a scheduling policy based on my business priority. What I will do, if I just scroll up and I'll just click on that customer. First you click on this one, this specific button. One customized scheduling policy will be cloned from the scheduling policy. Are you sure you want to clone this policy? I'd like to clone this policy. If I just scroll down, scroll up the saving my changes. Copy of customer first. Look at this one. Clone scheduling policy has been created. Suppose I am taking the name like Dreamhouse first. Now, this is my brand new scheduling policy. It uses the same values that the standard customer first policy uses, but changes I will make here to the new policy. It will not affect to the standard policy customer. First, because this is the clone thing. That's why in that way I can tweak my new policy but keep the standard first policy. Means it is, I'm not changing my intact, my standard policy. What we'll do now, I'll add the workflow here. I'll just scroll down. I have created Dreamhouse Reality Resource Availability. I'll just add that one. My workflow I have added over here. Now what I will do, I can change the weight of the service objective here. Suppose if I'm using this one, suppose what I will do, there is a scenario. If I'll go to here, inventory, what I have done, I have created a work rule. I have assigned that work rule, work loan service scheduling policy. The next step is what I need to do. I need to change the service objective and I'll see for a specific branding service appointment how the travel time is getting changed. We need to check that scenario from here. This is the travel time. I'll create a branding service appointment for you and I'll change the scheduling policy and I'll check that how the travel time varies using the service objective changes. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.